administrative reasons, financial reasons, someone might want to be married to their partner even though they're going to have an open relationship. Let's say, Doug, all of those reasons we set aside. It's a couple that says, I have no doubt I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to cohabitate with you. I want you to be my partner for the rest of my life. And when I'm too old to fuck, I'm 93, I'm in my deathbed, I want to look over and the person next to me is you. However, during the intervening years, we will have, maybe with certain ground rules, I'm sure some poly couples have ground rules, some maybe it's far more open, some there's probably some parameters. Otherwise, they want to go through their life with that other person at their side, have kids with only that person. Are you more okay with it there? I know we're putting you on the spot here. We're asking you a very personal thing.
Am I okay with it? Two people decide that they want to get married, but also have other relationships.
Right, but otherwise be totally a married couple, except in this one sexual area.
Right.
Well, and I think that kind of, just to add in one thing, I thought it was really interesting that he had the sexual monogamy versus social monogamy, wherein we're going to have sexual partners outside of our marriage, but we're not going to let anybody know that we're having sexual partners outside of our marriage.
Right.
And every time that we have any kind of appearance or the circles that we keep, we're going to make sure that it looks like it's just the two of us. And I thought that was an interesting distinction. That because well,
he did talk about being out in regards to, we usually think of that regarding one's kind of sexual orientation,
right?
But out regarding that you're a polyamorous couple,
right?
And the need to know basis. He brought that up. That, well, your parents don't really need to know.
Right.
They don't need to know what positions you're engaging in the bedroom,
right,
what toys you're using in the
right,
bedroom. So they therefore don't necessarily need to know that you engage in polyamory.
Right.
He said, on a very practical level, particularly if it's going to bother them so much that it might threaten your living situation. By the way, good reason not to be a married couple living with in a home controlled by someo's parents,
and sort of like, and
with children too. Don't forget there were children in that.
And I think that's the other thing it's sort of like I can't say with any certainty that they're going to have that those children will have a more or less stable environment to be raised based on their parents being polyamorous. One of the things that Dan Savage does say is like, people have lost custody because of their polyamory. People have lost jobs. Now, the thing is, and this is one of the problems I have with Dan Savage, is that I don't know if he's telling the truth. I don't know if this is something where he heard it and feels that it is true.
None of us know the national story of the person who lost his job because of polyamory.
I mean, is there a story of that?
Not that I know of.
I mean, other than
maybe there's one that's slipped between the cracks.
President Clinton getting impeached is the only. But I don't know if they're a polyamorous relationship. I mean, maybe they are.
I mean,
maybe they're socially.
Let's put it this way: it's not an open polyamorous relationship. When it came out,
right?
Hillary Clinton didn't get on an interview show and go, "Oh no, this was agreement."
I let Bill fuck around all the time,
right, and I'm getting side cock constantly.
Yeah, I'm getting pounded by all kinds of dudes. Is what Hillary said, I believe, on the Arsenio also, right?
Also, oddly, with a thick Appalachian accent.
No, she's from Arkansas.
I don't believe that.
No, she's from New York, guys. That's a joke. But I like accents. But anyway,
so remind me of other.
Yeah. So the other ones. Threesome app being outed for being on a threesome app.
Right. Outed in a very limited way. A single human being
not boring.
Leaning in and whispering, "Are you the couple from the app?" Not quite being outed.
And I thought that was a kind of a gimme where it's like, come on, Dan, is this the best that you've got?
I agree. I thought this is a solution to a problem that does not exist. This is a non-problem. I mean, even for the woman who called in, I thought this is not a problem. But it allowed him to talk about, I suppose, if you've engaged in any kind of solicitation online, if someone then brings it up later that, hey, were you the person who solicited to this?
I thought it was, just for myself, I thought it was very funny when he started listing all the different social platforms there are for dating.
Right,
yes. I don't know if it was that one or if it was with the
it was also from Florida. Who's like, I can't.
And he's like naming all these apps. I'm like, what
that
the
poor guy.
hell,
I felt bad for the guy from Florida.
That guy from Florida, man.
That's got to be tough to be in a really small town. Naples, Florida. By the way, because he had a strong accent at first, I literally thought he was from Naples. And then when later I was Florida, I was like, well, you can probably drive somewhere.
Yeah, well, and that's what Savage is like, hey, bro, you want to go an hour and a half to Tampa? You want to go 2 hours to Miami? It's like, it's real simple. Get on Grindr, have some fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, there's obviously certain apps out there that are fairly well known, mainstream, whether you've ever seen them or not. but like his list just kept going on and on.
Yeah,
and I was like, dang.
Yeah, I like to think it's because he is a man who his job is knowing about these things, and not that he's personally using them. I mean, but maybe if he is, because that was the other thing. Is like, it seemed like he was very much of the mindset of like, one of the reasons why these things are seen as bad by society is because they are taboo, and not because they are necessarily actually bad. Right. And I thought that that's sort of an interesting idea about things. So the two that I want to touch upon.
Well, just to wrap
ahead.
that up with this particular one, with this lady, her call, I think goes right back to the format of this show. If this had been a live call-in show, I think he would have hung up on her so quick.
Right.
He would have said, "You're full of shit. This isn't an issue. You're trying to make it one." Next caller.
Yeah, exactly.
But this actually gave him a chance to expand on how ridiculous her statement was.
Well, that's the other thing is that Loveline, to reference it because it's my frame of reference, they would hang up on people that they thought were boring or had bad stories.
By the way, this only happened after it had been on the air many years.
Right, exactly.
This became more and more common in its last years.
And their bullshit detectors got better because who knows if these people are actually telling the truth? It may be somebody who wants some sort of notoriety or fame for themselves, and they're just calling in with a fake story. So the two I want to touch on, and this one I thought was really funny, the Prince Albert question. Do you guys...
Yeah. No, I remember it. Mm-hmm.
I was so surprised. The second hole, you have to worry about pee and jizz shooting at your second hole. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, the Prince Albert leakage hole is you puncture your urethra.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, Doug,
were you familiar with what a Prince Albert was?
I do. I did not need to hear that about the hole and the leakage.
The bodily fluid?
I had never thought about that. Don't want to think about it.
Now, Doug, you don't currently have any piercings. Would you? Well, I'm going to give you a hypothetical.
We love it.
Your wife, as we've already covered, my lovely sister, Candace, says to you, hey, look, we've been married 30 years. I'm happy with everything. There's nothing I would change about our intimate life. But I think it would be so sexy.
Let's spice it up.
A fun new change in our love life if you were to get a Prince Albert, if you were to get this urethral piercing on your penis. Is it something you would consider? It's like absolutely no, too painful. Now I've learned I'm peeing out of a second hole, doing other things.
You got to plug it up.
The same woman I had to run by getting a tattoo for
so
25
this
years.
Question not going to come from
probably not going to come up. But in the hypothetical world,
yes,
I would not get it.
Okay,
you just say no.
Absolutely.
In the real world, I would not get
Reasons? Doug, is it because you'd pee out of a second hole?
Well, that's definitely going to be part of it.
Right.
But there's just nothing in what you've just described or what he described that sounds in any way like something I want.
But you're doing it for her. She's coming to you saying, I'd like you to do this for me. This is something I'd like to engage in. Does that curry any favor for you in this process?
In the fantasy land that we're talking about?
It's a hypothetical. That's why it's called a hypothetical.
We've learned Candace would not actually ask for this.
Get rid of the real world because this is fake.
Yes. In the real fake world.
No, just fake.
In the fake
just
world.
Fake.
In the fake world.
This is one of my most... this is my pet peeve of mine.
Right.
Is putting a hypothetical to somebody and going, well, I wouldn't do that. And you're like, no, it's a hypothetical, guys. It can be fake. Okay. It's allowed to be fake.
Okay, in the hypothetical fake world,
yes,
I would say to my wife, I love you so much, I am still not going to get that done.
Okay.
Fair answer.
That's fair.
Doug, Brandon, speaking of hypotheticals, and Brandon,
I had one last thing that I
right
ahead. And the highlight for me was the pubes conversation.
Go on.
And a young man goes to his sister and says, hey, I want to trim my pubes.
This was a great call, I thought. I thought it was interesting on a lot of levels.
And so the sister goes, fuck yeah, shave your pubes off, dude. And
so this is a 13-year-old boy.
13-year-old boy comes to his older sister.
In a household without a male figure,
correct.
An adult male figure, says,
yes.
For a variety of reasons, my friends and I have been talking about this. It's uncomfortable. It's itchy. By the way, I do not remember that being an issue when
neither do I
hit puberty.
Especially at 13.
And right at 13 in Dan
What
Savage.
kind of crazy bush must this kid have?
I don't. But I'm guessing that wasn't really the reason. But there was probably pressure. We live in a very different society now.
Sure.
If anyone has a question about that, go watch a Bon Jovi video from 1988 where it looks like my brother is wearing a straight fucking mohair sweater under his shirt. That, I mean, he's an Italian dude. That I'm not saying all Italians are, but we think of Mediterranean folks.
Sure.
hairier and swarthier.
Yeah.
He's got a goddamn pelt that if you tried to run your fingers through it, you'd get 2 inches before you were locked up in it. I want to say summer of 2000 maybe. He was in a U-boat movie. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a movie that takes place in World War II.
Right.
He's got a substantial role, but he's not one of the principals in it.
U-471. I'm just throwing that out there.
Is that what it's called?
I think it is. But
Okay,
I could
so
be wrong.
something
Yeah.
it has a title like that. It is U and then the
U571, U471, something like that. Look it up at your local blockbuster.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Is that not a thing?
And there's a scene. I'm sitting there watching this movie. I love a good U-boat movie.
Of course.
Hunt for Red October.
You love like a hard ship full of semen.
A rock hard cylindrical vessel just filled with sweaty dudes who are trapped in place. Love it. And there's a scene where they're all playing cards, just kind of that downtime. You're getting a moment to see these soldiers at rest when a crisis isn't, they're not involved in a crisis that they have to solve. And all these guys, this is, in the early 1940s, would be hairy as fuck if they had hair. If these are guys that buy, which most adult males do. Brendan, you're German and English,
correct?
And you've got a substantially
that
hairy
I do.
body, right?
And my dad's
it's
hairier
not like
than I
you're
am.
a Greek, Italian, right?
It's troublesome at times, actually.
Right. So you never know. But bottom line is, this would have been a boat full of these dudes from New York, right? Who would have been Italian guys and Jewish guys and you name it, who would have been covered with hair. And one of them I know because I grew up having to see his videos, is fucking hair. Like he is wearing camel hair PJs all the time. They had him completely waxed.
Oh,
because
wow.
by 2000,
sleek.
That was the aesthetic for a male, is that to have no hair. So it's a very good chance that this young kid, this had nothing to do with that. It was itchy and uncomfortable. But there's a pressure now to manscape, to groom.
Yeah, exactly.
So he goes to his sister, asks her. She thinks she gives him good advice that, do it if you'd like to. And go right ahead and feel free. But then the mom of this family discovers a sink full of pubes. By the way, this kid is absolute shit at getting rid of his pubes.
Criminal. Be a good criminal. If you're going to commit a crime.
That's every 13-year-old.
That's true.
I guess so.
Just dumb.
So you said you thought this was a particularly interesting call. Why?
What I really liked about it was Dan Savage lost his ever-loving mind on this mom.
Right.
He went crazy, and you should listen to him.
Well, he calls her multiple times she's a crazy woman.
Yes.
That she's angry about. No, I think he felt
controlling
it was kind
this
of
kid's body.
this kid.
Exactly. That it seems to me that and I'm sure that this happens to parents, there's an element of arrested development that they want in all their children. They don't want to watch their children grow up. And I think that puberty is one of those things where you go like, oh my God, my child is becoming an adult.
Absolutely. You go, this is something you only do when other people are going to be seeing, you naked.
Right.
Meaning once you're engaging in sexuality. And by the way, that may be wrong. This is a kid who has to shower after gym class. There may be already at 13 a real awareness that men groom themselves similarly the way that women have for many years
or
now.
that I look different.
And we know mores change. Again, in 1960s, completely natural pubic hair for women. 70s and 80s, you might have the triangle or the strip. By late 90s or early 2000s, it was full shaving. For some women, I mean, this isn't true of everyone, but these are how mores change. And again, we saw it with men's bodies.
Right.
This guy that we all know, and it's kind of in the public record for John Bon Jovi, that, brother, you're hairy. He looked like a dolphin. And he just slipped out of the sea and was squeaking away on shore, completely slick. Doug, how much do you manscape?
The
You're
right
not
amount.
A very hairy guy to begin with. Let's be honest.
I manscaped the correct amount.
The correct amount, and that's what for you is the correct amount. We won't go into detail, but there's some basic grooming. We'll say that goes into place. Brandon, same thing for you. Basic grooming.
Oh, 100%. Because as I said, I'm a hairy dude, and I want to make sure that I don't have an extra 2 inches off of my body of just hair.
Sure.
I don't want it to be a bird in a nest.
Was this something either of you even thought of at age 13?
I think so.
Okay.
I think Owen is pretty young because
you're the youngest of the three at this table. So that cultural notion of what looks appropriate.
Because I was 13 in like 1995.
Sure.
And the metrosexual revolution had started to occur, but I wasn't sexually active until I was late into my teens and
30s.
early 20s. Yeah, I
Right.
still haven't had it. I'm waiting
Right,
for
right.
marriage, and that's December, so I'm super excited, guys. I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've waited
Yes,
a long time.
congratulations.
Thank you so
By the
much.
way,
Such
love